MGMT are an American rock band. They're centered around the duo of singers and multi-instrumentalists Andrew Van Wingarden and Ben Goldwasser, who are the two official members of the band, but they have also at times had touring members. They were formed in 2002 and they started under the name of The Management, but they changed it to a disemboweled version because of the existence of another band with that name. Descriptions of them usually involve the word psychedelic, and they have released 5 albums so far. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was the second album by MGMT. It's my first time listening to this album, but it's not my first encounter with them. In a previous incarnation, I did reviews on a blog, and I reviewed one of their other albums for that blog. That'll be over 2 years ago now. I wouldn't say they were well known by me, though, at all. So this is one of those where I'm going to find description a little bit difficult, partly because it doesn't easily fit into a very definite genre here. So, as I said in the band introduction, the word psychedelic's been thrown around for them. Neo-psychedelia has been a thing, and I guess they kind of come under that. It's kind of related to stuff from the 60s psychedelic in kind of sound and attitude, I guess, but with lots of other things thrown in. And I feel like thrown in's a really good phrase here because there's quite a lot going on. So I feel that this is one of the features of neo-psychedelic stuff, that it's often very busy and there's quite a lot going on at once, and very kind of full sound to it and lots of different bits of interest going on. Musically, it's fairly interesting, and the chords and the structure, if it was if the production was a bit more mainstream, I would probably call this art rock at times, not pushed far enough to be prog rock, I wouldn't think. It does have, I've just done a review of Camera Obscura, and I talked about this kind of slightly mushy production. This also has what I think of as a kind of slightly mushy production, as if everything's been slightly blurred. It's a somewhat modern thing, I think, in the 2000s particularly. And I think of it as being the opposite of high fidelity. So the point of high fidelity when when music systems were being described as hi-fi, the point was that you could actually pinpoint the individual instruments, and they came out clearly from the rest of the music. And I would say, in terms of production through the 70s and into the 80s and well into the 90s, there was a whole thing about making this production as crisp as possible and the instruments as distinct as possible. And then I think we get into the 2000s and there's a rebellion against that, potentially. And so we get this slight mushying, which gives you a fuller sound in some ways. There's lots of use of different melodic instruments in here. The drums are often pushed quite back in the mix. There's sometimes background noises. There's sometimes quite a slightly out of control feeling because there's just a little bit too much going on. But when I say that, that sounds negative. I think it's just what they're attempting to do is to kind of give that slightly, what's the word I'm looking for? Too much stimulation, a little bit overstimulated feel. And the singing's also pushed back in the mix somewhat. Again, this has been quite a modern thing. There's quite a lot of harmonies in there, which are quite nice. Sometimes they sing in different ways. They kind of affect different accents when they're singing. The songs are generally about fairly unusual things. I particularly like the song that's focused on Brian Eno, which is quite a fun song. Quite like it a bit, but I'm afraid the production doesn't sit as well with me as it could do. I'd prefer this if it was, maybe I'm just getting old and too old-fashioned. I prefer to be able to, if it kind of, things popped a bit more here rather than with quite so mushy. Maybe my hearing's going, I don't know. So anyway, that's what I think, and I'd love to know what you think, so please do tell me by leaving me a comment, and that's it for me for now.